broadcasting live from the beautiful city of Enugu. I mean the coal city, and we are Afia TV on DStv Channel 254, GOtv Channel 17, and Free TV Channel 748. My name is Chinalurumogu Eze, your host on today's episode of Nka. And it is Friday. I'm so excited. It's already weekend. It is the weekend, and this is your clue, and your cue rather, to unclench and unwind this weekend. If it has to be going on that palm wine date, yes, palm wine date, or traveling to the village for a little bit to bask into your roots. Speaking of roots, our guest today is someone who has found himself into the Igbo movement properly, a core Igbo man, and finds himself very attracted to things, everything about being Igbo, that he has taken it into something exciting. When we come back on this short break, I will introduce to you our guest on today's episode of Nka. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Nka. My name is Chinalurumogu Eze, and I said something about roots that I would love for you to use the weekend to tap into your roots, where you're from, things that make you part of a cultural identity. Speaking of these things, today we're taking the conversation to an interesting young man who is doing big things, documenting Igbo stories. I'm talking about history, the major festivals, the folklore, the language. He documents everything with intention and pride. He's the founder of Ozikoro, a blog dedicated to telling Igbo stories, and also another blog called Nzeora, where he celebrates the beauty of every other thing worldwide. This person is Idenze Somto Ezeme. Good evening, Somto. Good evening.
Good evening now.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good.
What, for the sake of the show, what would you like me to call you? Would you prefer Somto? Would you prefer?
I'll prefer Nze.
Nze. Okay. Nze, it shall be. Nze Kekwan.
Good.
Wow. That's nice. You know, when I was documenting this whole stuff about you, I would say it takes a very intentional person, first of all, to painstakingly start a blog and just start documenting and putting up stories about Igbo festivals in Igbo land, major folklore, what drives, let's start with, what caused you to start a blog called Ozikoro? What was the driving point?
I think the main reason I started Ozikoro was because when I was studying our history, I grew up in our culture. So studying our history, I see different perspectives from what was recorded during the pre-colonial times. And then when I come to online to talk about history, I see a lot of people saying way different from what I know. So I had to start making more research. The more research I make, the more I realize that there are so many of our history that have been untold. So I decided that we need to document it somewhere. So if we don't document it somewhere, many people will not know it, because a lot of our people do not know our history. They only know the common ones. No, many of our people do not even know their clan's history. That's how bad it is. So documenting it is the best way, and it's also a way for our diaspora, because living abroad for a long time, I've met a lot of young Igbo people who were born there. They want to learn about our culture and our history, but they don't know where to learn it. And I am a blogger. I've been blogging for more than 10 years. Why not just start something as a part-time? So Ozikoro was born out of passion in letting our people know our history, depending wherever you are in the world. Mostly the diaspora.
Oh, mostly diaspora. That's nice. So how long has Ozikoro been running?
The first post on Ozikoro should be in August last year.
Oh, last year? Okay.
I just started a blog, and I wrote about Igbo people. I continued writing, and then I invited my friends and I hired some people they will write and I'll cross check, we will bring up different documents. It was just something we started doing. Before you know it, started getting traction. Then I decided that this is the time to get an office, get more stuff, and then start working towards it.
And you said you have been blogging for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So what were you blogging about all the while? And I'm sure doing that already gave you precedence to starting Ozikoro, right?
Yeah.
So what were you blogging about all the while?
First blogging I started was about teaching people how to blog.
Okay. You started a blog about teaching people how to blog.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then the second blogging was about entertainment and music, because I was much more into the entertainment industry, but I was focused on blogging about music. Before the streaming came, when the streaming came, we had to divert. So I diverted to history blogging.
Okay. So what about Nzeora? Tell us a bit about that.
Nzeora actually started as a nickname.
Okay, because it has your name on it.
Yeah, it's my nickname. And then I started doing some products. Some of the products I was importing from China and I was selling it online. I started posting the product on the blog. Then later on, I started writing the history I've read about, mostly African history, the Sahelians, and then the Sudano history. The more I write about the history, the more I realize that this is going to work. So I started writing more.
Okay, so between Ozikoro and Nzeora, which one came first and why?
Nzeora came first. Nzeora has been there since 2021.
Oh, okay. So you have been into the importation business and you decided to start documenting stuff you were interested in about the culture of Sudan, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I was fascinated about history of Africa, because when you go online, when you go to museums and libraries, you mostly see history about the Europe, the West Asia, which is like there was nothing much about Africa. So if you want to know more about Africa, you have to dig deeper. It's mostly on documents. So I got more interested in knowing what is in Africa. So the more I did, the more I find myself writing about it, because I felt like the more I write about something I'm learning, the more it sticks to my brain.
So Igbo was big, writing specifically about Igbo content was so intense that I had to get a separate blog for Igbo-centered content.
Yes, because I was also angry about people distorting our history.
Oh, how are the people distorting the history?
For example, I am from Idenze.
In Anambra State.
Yes.
Anambra State as well.
That's nice.
Where? Precisely.
Yeah. That's nice. That's the Isu area.
You know what? Continue. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but okay.
So, when I go online, I see people talking about my history. There was a day someone was talking about my own town's history more. So the person said that the founder of my history is from Aro. I'm from Idenze. Idenze is older than Aro, if we are being honest. And according to my ancestors, the person who founded my town came from the Inri area. So because the name the person was bearing was Okooli Otie, and the person said that people who bore such name are from Aro and Ohafia area. But this is the thing, I've been searching, I did not see a single person bearing Otie in that area, but I found two people in Inri area answering. So the more I read about what these people are talking about my own town, the more angry I get, and the more I realize that if we leave this thing, people are going to continue spreading it and it will be a thing. So we need an authority blog whereby if you search about Igbo history, there is a place you can go directly and search and see it. And the goal of Ozikoro is to document every clan and every town's history and culture in the whole Igbo land, both the ones in the Middle Belt, the ones in the South and the ones in the Southeast.
That makes sense. That makes sense. We'll go on a quick break. You seem like you have a lot to say. You seem like you have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Idenze. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Nka. My name is Chinalurumogu Eze, and we're still here with Idenze, who has so much to say about how our own people are not doing justice to the cultures, the traditions, and everything about being Igbo, right?
Yeah.
That's why you are here. Okay, so I'd like to know all your years of understanding Igbo culture, the tribes, like you called it, and all those stuff. What's the most surprising thing you've discovered about the culture?
One of the craziest things I discovered about Igbo culture, about Igbo in general, is how large we are in terms of the number of tribes and the number of clans.
Wait, hold on. Rewind a little bit. So we have about 300 and something tribes, ethnic groups in Nigeria. And Igbo is one of them. So inside Igbo, there are other tribes. That's what you're trying to say.
Igbo is not a tribe.
What is
Let's
Igbo?
begin with that. And we were talking about, you were supposed to talk about the 300 ethnicities, not tribes, because they are not tribes. For example, Igbo is an ethnic nationality.
Okay.
It's like an ethnic group that has tribes and sub-tribes inside it.
Okay.
So, it's the label they usually give it is Igboid groups.
Igbo what?
Igboid groups.
Igboid groups.
Groups.
Okay.
So it means that Igbo contains so many tribes in it. It contains the Imre tribe, the Igwere tribe, the Isu tribe, and different kind of tribes. And we have over 800. And then when it comes to clans, we have more than 2,000 clans spread across different Igbo groups. And some of these clans and tribes are not even up to 100 or 200 years. It's something that I realized about Igbo people. We are always creating difference of groups, either because of trade or because of elitism in the olden days. Because some tribes we are seen as the elite tribes, just like the Aro and the Mre. So that's one thing that fascinated me about Igbo people.
I am fascinated. No, not fascinated per se. I think more of confusion. I'm not embarrassed to say this because I know there are people watching us live right now who did not know that inside the tribe there is a tribe. You would think it's not called a tribe, but we were taught every time it's called, there are three major ethnic groups in Nigeria, there are three major tribes in Nigeria, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. So we've always known it's a tribe. And now you are telling us today, Idenze, that it's not a tribe, but inside the ethnic nationality, there are over 300 tribes.
We have over 800 tribes.
800 tribes. How did you make this discovery?
I think when I started reading about the pre-colonial documents documented by the Portuguese settlers, the British voyagers, and all the rest of them, there was a lot of written records that they were studying, because before they colonized us, they needed to know us. They were studying us. Some of them learned our language. They were able to separate different ethnicities so that they can be able to know who to put in charge and who not to put in charge. So these documents opened my eyes. And from the beginning, I knew that we were not a tribe, because we are more than a tribe. We are more than a tribe. There's nothing tribal about Igbo. We are ethnic group. Because in my own Idemili, because according to history, Idemili was under Mwe tribe. But Idemili is a clan. Maybe in the next 50 years, Idemili is an Igbo tribe. Because it has expanded and there's no Mwe kingdom anymore.
Yeah.
So that's how it has always been. And each tribe has their own distinct dialects. If someone from Enugu speaks, I will hear them, but I will know that this person is not from my own area, even though we spoke similar distinct. But from the words and the pronunciation, I could know that, yeah, this person is not from Idemili. But if you are from Idemili and speak, I will know. And sometimes I can even pinpoint the exact place you are from in Idemili.
That's how good you've gotten, huh?
No, that's because I know about my Idemili culture and dialect.
Whatever. but for tons of people who are watching us right now, how do you think they can start to identify what tribe they are from?
It's very easy because someone from Arondizwag already know that they are Aro by tribe.
Okay.
The same thing with someone from Aroch. They already know that they are Aro by tribe. Someone from Bo already know that they are Idemili by clan.
Clan.
Yeah.
But what by tribe?
A lot of them will not know that that Idemili was under the tribe.
So I am from Ihiala local government area of Anambra State. I am what by tribe?
In Ihiala, it's majorly Isu, but there are also Aro settlements in Ihiala.
This is becoming confusing.
If you know your town's history, then you know where you're from.
So you're saying that I am from Isu
area.
Isu.
But you need to know your clients because you might be part of the Aro settlement. You might not be, but that land particularly is an Isu land. So majority of the people from East Ihiala down to Oru West, all those Imo State area, they are Isu.
Right. And you cannot see. I think it's not just about buying books to read. It starts from the education we were given when we were kids.
Yeah.
When we were younger, right? Nobody came to tell us that, CEO, as an Igbo person that you are, wherever you're from, there are like 800 tribes there. So the foundation is not there. How do you think we can start correcting this? Because it seems many people don't know this. Many people do not. If I don't, I'm sure they do not. Yes.
Yes, I know many people don't know it because someone from the Ikwere tribe might look at someone who is not from Ikwere, but they know that the person is also Igbo and call the person Muisoma.
What is that?
In the olden days, during the trading era, during the slave trade era, a lot of this, majority of the slaves that they sold, the slave people that they sold, came from the Isu area. So the people who Ikwere people were, the ancestors were mostly interacting with were people from Isuama.
Okay.
So they call anyone who is not from Ikwere Muisoma, which is that Isuama. Their own pronunciation is Soma. So the Ikwere now will say we call Igbo people Isoma. Like some people will say that even though they are also Igbo, but they don't know the reason they are calling that currently. Even though it's something that happened in the olden days, which they themselves do not know. So the only way to correct these things is for us to have a place where we learn our history. No, we need to have like an archive, and that's why I started Ozikoro. Because not everyone will have to be. We have to go to all those library, online research to go and be searching about these things. They needed a place whereby if they come and search for it, they will see it. So Ozikoro is the perfect thing that will help us to solve some of these things.
Perfect thing indeed. Look at you putting it right there. It is the perfect thing. All the years, months, weeks studying the culture, your community. I'm just imagining the amount of work you had to put in to know something about every ethnic group, every clan, every tribe. Now you don't have to.
No, I don't know everything about every tribe. I know
something.
It's just the foundation was there already.
Oh, how did the foundation get there?
The foundation started from my grandparents.
Okay.
Grandpa in specific, because growing up with grandpa, who is very traditionalistic, he's not a Christian. So even though my grandma was a Christian, he was a traditionalist. So growing up with such man, I was able to know what is in our culture. He took me to almost every festival he could attend, both the one in my town and the one in like Uzi Uboj. I attended it when I was little because he took me there. He took me to every meeting they went to in the King's Cabinet, which is that there. We call it Obigwe.
Yeah.
So everything there, everything that was happening during that time, I knew about it because I was with my grandpa. So the foundation was already set for me. If I was not raised that way, I will not be this passionate. And
thanks to Grandpa, who is late already, right?
Yes.
Thanks to him for raising such a dedicated young man, dedicated to documenting Igbo cultures, traditions, clans, history, all these things. It takes a lot. And thank you for doing this every time. Speaking of festivals, you said you were taken to festivals and all that when you were growing up. Is there any festival? Is there anything that you think Igbo people are losing touch with currently?
Yes.
What's that?
The amount of energy we put in our festivals today
has reduced.
Oh,
wow.
I will use my
New
own
Yam Festival.
I will use the one I know, Ozikoro.
What does that mean?
It's a festival where they display certain masquerades, but it's mostly animals.
Okay.
Like Uzi, something like the
Uzi.
Yeah.
Okay.
The road to the stream. So you will be seeing different animals. You can see hippopotamus, but different animals displayed as a masquerade.
Oh, wow!
Big masquerades. You can even see the eagles, also the lions, and any kind of animal you can find in Igbo land, specifically in the Idenze area. So when I was little, they used to display both ABS. It was very
Anambra Broadcasting Corporation.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was very popular. And that time there was no social media. Now there's social media. It's no longer popular as it used to be when I was little.
Yeah.
So the energy has reduced and it's no longer as creative as it used to be. Because that time they pay attention and it was well funded, unlike today. So we are really losing our festivals.
Well, right. There was this one that happened in Onitsha last year. Okay. It trended a little on Twitter after the popular Yorubas. What's that festival they have again? But you know the one I'm talking about.
The one of Folklore.
But the one it trended after the Yoruba people's own trended on Twitter. The colorful presentation Yoruba people did with their Odu something festival. So after that, Ofala now came up in Onitsha, and it tried to have that whole color thing. This set had this outfit. This set had another outfit with the Obi Onitsha dressed in a really interesting outfit. The outfit was just interesting, right? Yes, but it was really interesting. The big. Let's not go into that. So, what do you think about the Ofala Festival? Do you think that's like the most popular and New Yam Festival? But the way they celebrate Ofala is it's more popular. It's more. I think even a toddler should know about that because of the way they put it. Do you think it's still the same? Do you think they are losing touch with it? Do you think they've reduced how it's done? It's not how it's supposed to be done. What exactly do you think about it?
Ofala has always been that way.
Okay.
The colorfulness. Each group always have their own clothing style, clothing color.
Yeah.
Every traditional group that are going to be in that Ofala usually choose their styles. So it has always been like that. Just that there has never been a documentation just the way they did the Yoruba one. So there was no changing. It has always been the same way. The only thing is that it got more media PR. Before, it's usually among us and it was also popular. Yeah, it was quite popular and only Ofala, Onitsha is the most popular festival in terms of Ofala.
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah, because every other place has their own. Their own Ofala is not that popular.
That popular.
Yes, except the Onitsha Ofala.
Yeah.
So, Onitsha is doing great. Onitsha people are doing very, very well in promoting their culture, in promoting their festival. They are the only ones who have been able to maintain higher standards in terms of setting up festivals in Southeast and Igbo land in general. Other ones, they do it just because they want to do it. Onitsha people they bring out time. They do it the way they do music concerts.
Yeah, I know it.
And sometimes there are concerts before the festival, which makes it unique. So there was no changing. And even if there is changing, the things we do today as our culture, you wouldn't be surprised that it was not our culture last 100 years. Because some of the things we do, we are borrowed. But we'll not dive into those parts.
Maybe we want to dive into that a little bit. But no. Well, that's interesting. I'd like to know what spurred the name Ozikoro. Why did you name it? You could name it anything. You could name it Blood, anything that comes into your head. Why Ozikoro?
The goal is to write about Igbo and its neighbors.
Okay.
So if you use Igbo, it will not contain neighbors, our neighbors. Because if you are writing about our history, you cannot write about our history alone. There are so many people you will encounter when you are reading our history. You will encounter Urobo, you will encounter Isoko, you will encounter Ibibio Mo, Ibibio and Efi. You will also encounter Ijo. So you cannot write our history without these ethnic groups. I have to use a name that is general. And why I used Ikoro was because in a pre-colonial Igbo community, if they want to send a message that will react to the whole community, especially when the king is there, like the Eze, which is like the chief priest is there, they will use Ikoro to announce. Which like when they blow the Ikoro, when they play the drum, everybody in the community is going to hear it because we are communal. It's always a small communities. So the message from Ikoro is always the very important message in Igbo culture.
Wow.
So they don't wake up and just start playing Igbo. Something must have happened. A great person must have died. So I felt like it's a name that will be catchy and also have a meaning. Which means if you see this message, you know it's an important message.
Yeah. I like it too. Ozikoro. Okay. That's a lot of information right there that we are trying to calm down, assimilate. I've learned one or two just listening to you. Thank you. I hope you're listening and hearing all of that and you are inspired and motivated to go ask your grandfather or your mother, your clan and your tribe. I'm not talking Igbo tribe. Nze has said a lot in just few minutes of being on the show. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Nze. Stay with us. Okay, my name is Chinalurumogu Eze, and I'm still here with the Nze, who is dishing out a value, information about us generally as Igbo people. And I'm tempted to ask, have you ever faced any kind of, controversy or quarrel or, I don't know, any kind of bad blood because you're documenting stories about Igbo people?
I encounter that a lot.
By Igbo people?
Yes.
By Igbo people?
Yes.
Tell me something.
I think it's because they don't like the truth about some history. Some of us are some of us are too emotional to accept the fact that we borrowed culture or that this was not the truth. For example, I could use my town. There are titles in my town that I've asked. I asked my elders. They said that the names are not Igbo names, and the titles came from certain place. And when I say it, when I write it, the Igbo people will attack me and tell me that it's an Igbo title.
Can you give an example?
Okay.
Of a title?
We have a title called Iyasele.
In Igbo land. It doesn't even sound Igbo though.
We have a title in my town called Iyasele. And there is another title called Adaze.
Adaze. Iyasele, Adaze.
These are Edo words. These titles were borrowed titles. Culturally we didn't borrow it directly from Edo. We in my town didn't borrow it directly from Edo. We borrowed it directly from Enuani people. And the Enuani got the title from Edo. You see, that's how the cultures were shared. But when I speak about this, our people get so angry and tell me that I am giving outsiders weapon, but that's just history for you. That's how the history has been. That's how it will always be. You cannot change it. And it's not because you don't like these people, then we are going to change the history about it or lie about what was written in history. So our people have issues with accepting that this is not from us.
Have you experienced? So this one is from Igbo people who don't want to accept the truth. What about people from maybe other ethnic groups? We cannot call them tribe because we've established what tribe is in this conversation. So people from other ethnic nationalities, do you think have you ever experienced something, maybe something you on your blog that they do not agree with, attacking you?
A lot of times. A lot of times when I post about our history, for example, when I posted about the first Igbo primer and the Igbo Bible and who wrote it. In the
first Igbo what?
Bible.
Bible, okay. The first Igbo Bible.
And the first Igbo primer.
Okay.
When I wrote about it, posted it, I got issues from I got issues from some of the Yoruba conservatives. They said that it was Ajayi Crowther who did it, who taught Igbo who wrote the Igbo first Bible, but that was not the truth. Ajayi Crowther was like their leader. The people who wrote those things were Igbo ex-slaves who came from Freetown, who returned, and they were following Ajayi Crowther because they were priests. They were under Ajayi as the most senior person. Those days, there was nothing like this level of tribalism, ethnic bigotry that we are getting. Those days, they were not thinking about the future. So every of their works were credited under Ajayi, who was their leader. But history recorded it that Ajayi never spoke Igbo. So how can someone who does not speak
Igbo be the one to write the Bible?
You see, that was the confusion. So when I wrote it, I got so many attacks. And I was presenting documents to show that this is what they wrote. This is even what the Church Missionary Society wrote, which is like the CMS. They wrote the truth. They wrote that Jonathan Meyer and Simon Jonas we are the people who completed the Bible. So I encountered so much issue on that. And then there's another one I encountered. I was writing about our masquerade that was borrowed in Ijoland. And the people were saying that it's a lie, it was not from Igbo land. I had to start presenting what their ancestors told the white people. This one is not that. It's not like an Igbo person was asking them. This was what their ancestors told the white people, that this came from the Igbo land. This is what your ancestors say. These are the kind of issues I get. When I write something that I know from the words, you can see that this is the origin. Our people argue it. They say it's a lie. So when they start arguing it, you have to go and search pre-colonial documents and see what their ancestors told the white people. The white person does not know the animosity between the two ethnic groups. They just wrote what your ancestors say through their interpreter. So that's the kind of issues I get. Our people don't like accepting the truth.
Interesting. Do you think a lot of people have said that, in fact, in Flavor's song, there's a particular song Flavor did. I'm trying to remember the title of the song, but the lyrics come to me. He said, Onye mutanwa, osobalu yo Igbo, Oyibo amaka mana obula asụsụ anyị yo. Igbo, he was in the song. He was trying to say that Igbo people should come out, continue championing their culture, that and all that. And we've had people say that Igbo people are beginning to lose who they are. Do you think that's true, and why?
It's true and also not true. Why it's true is because if we continue with this slowness, with the way that our people are no longer teaching the kids how to speak Igbo. they think they will automatically learn it.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem.
Mm.
They always think they will automatically learn. If we continue with that method, we will lose. But we are not continuing with that method because there is also a group, like another section of Igbo people fighting hard to recover it, especially the young ones.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a group that are not interested, there is also a group that are very, very interested.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a two-way thing, in my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in Enugu here, I could be speaking Igbo to somebody. Anya Anasulumo Igbo.
Hey, no. I see. It is well.
And that person also understands Igbo, speaks Igbo. And I know someone that I didn't know that person could speak Igbo until they spoke to their mother on phone. And I was like,
so
yeah, because I'll be speaking Igbo to the person. The person will be replying me in English. So I thought maybe that person could understand me or couldn't speak. And I didn't start speaking the Igbo. Because if you understand me, I swam my dialect.
Okay, that makes sense. You said the two things.
Yeah.
We are losing it, but at the same time, we are still maintaining it. We are still in touch with who we are.
Yeah.
Take me to this other thing. What do you think about people that anglicize their Igbo names?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
It depends on how they did it. Okay. Because even our ancestors did the same.
They anglicized their Igbo names.
Yeah.
But it was a recent, or should I say,
they shorten out the names. So it's part of anglicization. I'm not going to say, but you understand what I meant. For example, Odinakose. They call it Odiakose.
I've seen that name somewhere. Odiakose. It's from Odinaka.
Odinakose.
That's where it's from.
That's Odinaka.
It did not sound Igbo when I saw it.
Thank you.
It did not. Jeez.
Where the problem starts is when you remove every atom of Igbo in it and add like a foreign element which is not relating to southern Nigeria. If you add like English words in the Igbo in the name of making it look cool, that's where the problem
like is. Like the Chukwemeka mix.
Yes. Because if we want to check our names, our forefathers' names, we will realize that these names were long, but we are shortened. So they just took some parts that they like. There are so many names I've seen, and then I know that, yeah, this is what it's supposed to mean. So when it comes to mixing your names, just don't remove the Igbo elements in it. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. As time goes on, we are going to have more new names.
As time goes on, we are going to have more new names.
Yes, because now you say Ebuka.
Bukas.
You say Ebuka, but some people will say, if you want to call it completely, some people will call it completely Ose Ebuka, some people will call it Chukwu Ebuka, some people will call it Chi Ebuka.
Did you say Ose Ebuka?
Ose Ebuka.
Ose Ebuka. What does that mean?
In Igbo land, we have so many words for God. We have Chi, we have Ose, we have Olisa. Ose came from Olise or Olisa. We call it Ose.
Okay, it's a dialect thing.
It's a dialect thing.
But to bring this to sort of an end, I'd like to know, I'm sure others who are watching, like how do you find information concerning this thing? If you want to read, someone wants to read up, let's say, I know Ozikoro is there for us, yes.
Yeah.
But if someone wants to, go far back, do some kind of digging, reading, what would you recommend? Maybe just to find their place in this whole Igbo conversation.
You see, that's why I said that there's no specific store you will go and get it. If you want to know much about Igbo history, you start from the books. and also from the pre-colonial archives that you can get from archive.org.
Okay.
So you can get books. There are so many books written, but you can still find them in archive. Because the archive ones, which is the pre-colonial documents, is the ones that the colonial masters were studying us to be able to colonize us. If these people were studying us to be able to colonize us, which information do they have? Those are, and they've not released all the information. So we are just seeing the ones we've released, which means there are more in the future.
Thanks to you and Ozikoro helping us get back to our roots, just like I recommended when I introduced the show. Maybe they can use this period to go through ozikoro.com on your browser. Go and read about who you are, because clearly a lot of people do not know who they are. And I hope this is a wake-up call for you and I. No, you. I know who I am. I hope this is a wake-up call for you to ask questions about who you are, where you're from, and feel free to go to ozikoro.com to get more information about your clan, your history, the tribe, and a bunch of other stuff. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll round up this conversation. See you in a bit. Welcome back to Unka. My name is Chinalurumogu Eze, and we're still here with Nzemo. That's okay. I can call you that, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so this is the last part of the show where we do some kind of game. Okay, we wrap it up with a game segment. I don't know, can you sing? Can you dance? Can you rap? No, this hair.
No.
That you can do right.
The funny thing is that I don't even do anything music.
Okay, no preference. So, for the first game, because it's about me, I'm the game master here.
Okay.
Recite the Igbo alphabet from beginning to the end. Go.
A, B, C, D, F, G, B, Oh yeah, come.
Let me recite this for you. That's where I'm bigger, better than you. Listen to me. A, B, C, D, F, G, B, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, W, O, S, Sh, T, U, V, W,
I can write it, but I cannot recite it.
My English teacher did a good job when I was like, she was so good. Secondary school. Madam Eze, shout out to you.
That's nice.
Okay, so quick one. You are going to complete these Igbo proverbs. I say the first part of it, you complete it. Yes. Let's go. Onye Feze. And you come and Miriam. Okay. Agadi nwanyị anaghị aka nka.
Na-egbu ọma agba.
Ụkpana okpoko gburu.
Ntutulie.
Okay, soro ngwere ma mmiri. Simple. Say it, John.
Where?
I am the game master, so you do what I say. Okay, soro ngwere. No, that's okay, soro ngwere ma mmiri. You go dance here. I will leave it. You will dance.
What's the okay soro ngwere ma mmiri?
Okongwe or Gakoke. Is that it? You know what? Whatever. I will see more too late. Say it again.
One.
I will see more too late. Omuraka.
I will see more to the Omuraka.
Yes. Okokonywaru.
And Yachuvia.
Yeah. Ikukuko. Afriko. Yes. What akira kwa nazu?
Amala needed it.
Okay. That's all. Well done. I'm also an Igbo scholar myself,
Yeah.
you know.
That would be good. You should be contributing
To Ozikoro.
Yes.
I'll think about it. How much are you offering?
Depending on nature,
Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. I hope you had so much fun and that you are tempted to go learn your Igbo alphabet. You are an Igbo person, but what exactly do you know about being Igbo? I hope this conversation with Nze has inspired you and motivated you to know more about who you are, about your culture, your history, and everything surrounding you as an Igbo person. Feel free to go to ozikoro.com to learn more about everything on Igbo as a community. My name is Chinalurumogu Eze, and I will see you next time on another episode of Nka. Bye!